Hello, you're listening to Rosette, the definitive soccer podcast. Me, Joe Forrest, here with Hannah East and producer Mike. As always, remember you can get in touch at Rosette Soccer on Twitter, or it's Rosette Pod on Instagram. Hannah, hello.
Joe, hello.
You're on holiday.
I am on holiday, yeah. Thank God,
Lovely.
finally.
Is it nice?
No, it's been raining for 2 days. The weather's awful, but it's fine. It's a bit sunny today, so I'm happy. I brought all my kit with me on holiday. So currently my laptop's sat on some kids' floats and a pack of nappies, but we improvise. Anything for the podcast.
Yeah, that's the spirit. Mike, you all right, mate?
Yeah, I was going to say, Hannah, that should explain your shit takes today.
He's so rude.
I'm good.
So rude.
Hannah, where are you?
I'm in
Enlighten us.
Mauritius.
Are you?
Oh,
Yeah.
my. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I thought you were going to say like Devon or something.
No,
Yeah,
like
I thought
Mauritius.
at best Mallorca.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12-hour flight. We were the first flight that's come out from the UK to Mauritius since July.
But it's been raining.
But it's been raining for 2 days.
Not
But
ideal.
it's supposed to get better over the next few days, so it's fine. Everyone's got their violins out because it's been raining for me in Mauritius. Oh dear.
Yeah.
I'm gutted.
Mike, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Different room today. Different setup. Just thought I'd spice it up a little bit.
Is that your washing behind you?
Yeah, what is that?
It's some blankets
Looks like dirty
to
knickers.
keep
right?
my small tiny body warm.
Oh.
I've had a terrible morning. I was telling Hannah before we started the podcast.
Yeah, please
I
repeat
woke up
because I wasn't listening.
So, I hope it rains the whole time. I really do. I woke up this morning, Mike, and it's like you don't realise this in the modern world. I woke up this morning and my phone wouldn't turn on. It was the screen was just blank, right, and nothing you could plug in it in, charge it. Nothing has worked. It just will not work, and it's like you don't realise how attached to your phone you are until you have the terror of it not working.
Oh, yeah.
So I spent about 45 minutes looking for one of those stupid little pokey things you need for the iPhone to poke the little tray out to get the SIM card out. And I've now got a very old iPhone, which is up to, but honestly, I feel so vulnerable at the moment without it.
Yeah, because we sent you loads of really nice messages this morning, didn't we, Mike, on WhatsApp?
Yeah. I was like, where is it? So how did you contact Hannah? Was it via Pigeon?
Well, no, I sent her, and I'm logged into the show's Instagram on my computer. That's the word. Sorry, I had a little stroke there. And yeah, I sent it like that. So, but I mean, we're all here. I mean,
Yeah,
Mike,
we made it.
yeah, difficult circumstances. Look, I think it's important we get one thing out of the way straight away. So, you're right, Mike.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Are you okay?
Yeah, why?
It's been a bad few weeks. Let's talk about it. We were saying earlier, let's talk about things, not the things we were talking about.
And of all people to have this conversation with, Mike, it's going to be you, a Spurs fan and an Arsenal fan. I'm just going to sit out of this one.
I feel right. What's going on? What's going on at Arsenal?
It's just a complete mess from top to bottom. I think it's been like this for a long time. It's been building. Arsene Wenger getting us in the top 4 every season seems like a bit of a miracle now. And, you know, some fans hounded him out, and it's that old saying, be careful what you wish for, because since then it's just been a steady downward decline. And I think it's just going to run on cycles really until we find the right manager, because Emery took over and he got sacked after 18 months. Arteta's been at the helm for around 20 months now, and it feels like end days for him already. 3 games into the season, 3 losses. It's going to be really difficult for him to turn it around. But I feel like no manager will succeed until the structure around him is there. And it starts from the very top with the apathetic owners who don't seem to really care about the club. They have pumped some money in recent years, but are they really bothered? Do they really want it to turn around? Are they going to put that structure in place for the team to succeed? I don't know. And then it comes down to who they hire, like in the executive roles. We got rid of Raul Sanllehi, who was the head of football, and he's not really been replaced. They've sort of merged Edu into his role, and then you've got Vinay Venkatesham, who sort of takes care of the business side, but I think he's going onto the football side at the moment to sort of plug a gap. And it's all just a bit of a mess. So it goes from that, and then it goes down to the recruitment as well, which a lot of people are thinking have been poor.
Can I just say, sorry, we're not laughing. We're not laughing at you. I started laughing, right, because you were looking really wistfully into the distance, and there's like light on your face, so it sort of looks like a sad film. And then
like
Hannah
a really
started
sad
laughing.
music video.
You mentioned some names of people I don't think Hannah and I have ever heard of.
All right, no, it was just like former directors, and Vinay is sort of like he was like the sort of businessy side of it, but he's sort of had to become more the main guy in charge. And you got Edu, obviously, who everyone knows, former Arsenal midfielder. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people we've questioned it on this podcast, the sort of transfer business that we've done, because United have bought Sancho, Varane, and now Cristiano Ronaldo, and they've spent less than us. And that's a little bit sad, but I think that's just the state that the club are in. I don't think they can attract those names anymore, and they would rather pay a bit more and get younger players who could be world class in 3 to 4 years. But judging by our coaching, that's probably not going to happen. So yeah, it's just a massive mess. But I feel like whichever manager steps into this role is going to really struggle, and it seems like a job way too big for Arteta. And then it's just about who they decide to go next. Like, do they go for a name, and do they try and go for like Antonio Conte, even though he wouldn't come, or would you go for like Roberto Mancini or someone who's seasoned, or do you go down the route of like a Graham Potter, where it's like a good coach, has improved his team, has a distinct style of play? So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. But yeah, it's very depressing times.
So you think it's down to changing the manager? Is that the first step, you think, for Arsenal now?
Well, I think that's the only step they can take right now, because I don't think the Cronkies will sell. Obviously, there was an offer from the Spotify CEO Daniel Ek a few months ago, but that was turned down. I think there was about 2 offers actually with ex-Arsenal player consortium of Patrick Vieira, Dennis Bergkamp, and Thierry Henry, but it doesn't look like that's going to go through, because I don't think Kroenke wants to sell. So yeah, it really comes down to that, and I think Edu might lose his job as well if Arteta goes, because they're a bit of a duo. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, the manager obviously will of course be the first one to go.
But we are only 3 games into the season, and I know we always joke about, we know it's too early to call what's going to happen, and anything can happen. But it's not you're not like written off. I know this week we're talking on the podcast because you are like bottom of the table, which is a rarity, and it's not very nice. But actually, is it that bad? Is it actually that bad?
Well, can I ask actually as well, Mike? I'm really interested in this because Unai Emery obviously just won the Europa League with Villarreal and he's seemingly quite a good coach and has obviously did really well Sevilla. So is it that I wonder, I suppose the point I'm making, is it Arteta, or is it just there's been a lack of quality recruitment for some time? Because I looked at the Arsenal team when I watched the game and I thought there's probably straight, and I'm actually like not here to take the mickey out of Arsenal. I'm not, because it sucks when your football team's not playing very well. And I think it's quite interesting to dissect. And I kind of like, Hannah doesn't believe me. I can see it in her face straight away, but I am not. But I looked at that and I thought and I've done this with Spurs so much. I looked at that and I thought there's 6 or 7 first team players there who've just got no business being in an Arsenal team at all.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's just like reaping long-term recruitment, and if Arteta actually isn't really to blame.
I think there's different elements of it, because of course, like as a coach, your first sort of remit is to maximize your squad and get the best out of them. I think, look, they have been a little bit unlucky, because you've got about five first team players out who would usually play, like Ben White, our new 50 million signing. You got in the midfield, Thomas Partey's obviously injured, and then Lacazette has been out with COVID. So there are some players who would usually come straight into that team. But yeah, overall, I think the squad is quite poor, but I still think you can get more out of it. So, like, I mentioned someone like Graham Potter, like he's doing wonders with a team like Brighton, who like have a really small budget, and he's getting the best out of them players. I look at this team and I just don't think Arteta's getting the best out of them. On Emery, I think what his downfall is that he's probably better working with a team that are more coachable, in the sense that they're probably a bit lower in profile. Their expectations are slightly lower, and there's maybe less egos, and they'll all work for him and do whatever he says. Whereas at Arsenal, it's difficult because you have to manage the expectations of the fans and what sort of football the fans want to see. And Emery was changing the tactics like from game to game, and there was no discernible style. And I think that's what's missing with Arteta as well, because there's no pattern of play. There's no like, oh, you can see what he's doing. Like I mentioned last week, like with Pep Guardiola, he came in, he had his style of football, and you could see that even if it wasn't quite working. And I think that's the downfall. But of course, like I mentioned, like the recruitment has been poor. Like £72 million club record fee on Nicolas Pepe, and he's been like extremely subpar. So there's a load of issues.
Hannah, were you shocked to see them get beaten 5-0 at the weekend?
I mean, it is pretty brutal, isn't it? Like, let's be honest, nobody wants to see, unless it's doing fantasy football, you don't want to see a score like that of 5-0 for City against such a good, respected team like Arsenal. And I'm not just saying that again. It's genuinely pretty shocking to see that performance, and it's pretty sad as well, because they're always up there. And to see them be, after 3 matches, be at the bottom of the table, it's like, what is going on? There is a huge issue. And I know players are out. There's been like COVID issues and injuries and stuff, but still, it's just something, something needs to change there, because this mentality and these performances can't continue throughout the season. Otherwise, it's going to be game over, and it shouldn't be like that. There are certain teams it's just not. It shouldn't be that way at all.
So you don't think it's over for him yet, Hannah? You think he's got a bit more?
No, I think personally, this is my personal opinion. I think in football, people are too quick to get rid of a manager. And I think it's a bit of a domino effect. So if you have a bad week, it's like, oh, it's the manager. And I know the managers do take responsibility if they make the wrong choices, putting the people out of position, not putting the best team forward, because in their mind, they've got an idea of how they want that match to pan out. But it's about adaptability sometimes. And I think if you've got players that aren't performing to the best of their ability, it's managing, not only as a manager, managing the team, it's about managing egos as well. And that's where I always digress back to the argument of, sometimes you get managers that get paid less than players, and where's the respect there? That's the issue. So you have these amazing players with great credentials. That's fantastic for them. But ultimately, it lies with the manager. And if a player doesn't respect a manager, then the domino effect doesn't only happen with fans, but it happens with players in the dressing room who all of a sudden they lose it in a second. And I think people should give managers a bit more chance. But at the same time, we're talking big money here. We're not talking like a bit of a league on a Sunday. This is like people's livelihoods are at stake with the Premier League, with stadiums, with ticket sales and that sort of thing. So I think that pay structure is a completely different conversation that I've had so many times. But I do think people are too quick to get rid of managers when they've got a plan. And if the plan isn't working initially, it's about everybody working together as a team, as a club, to make sure that they can implement that plan. I know people disagree with me on that one, but I feel that managers are kind of sacked way too quick. And it's like, oh, who's the manager of that? Which team was it, Joe, on the first week of the podcast? And you were like, hold on a second, who's managing?
Patrick Vieira.
Yeah, it's like what's happening here? They kind of just switch way too quickly.
On Patrick Vieira, have you noticed that he's got a perfectly round head? Have you noticed this? Do you remember the children's TV show Poddington Peas?
No.
Did you down at the bottom of the garden, among the birds and the bees? You're looking at me. Is this
what you sing to girls that come back to your flat?
And then I'm going to play it. You'll know it. That there's a lot of little people. They're called the Poddington Peas. Right?
I don't know if this is a thing.
He looks exactly. I'm going to buy this and stick it in there. Okay. I mean, we don't have the rights to it, but surely the people who made the Poddington Peas aren't going to sue us. But he looks exactly like a Poddington pea.
Because he's got a round head.
He's got a really round head, and they're little peas with arms and legs. Mike's looking it up, I think, right? And they're little like peas with arms and legs. His face is a Poddington pea.
It is so perfectly round. It's football round, isn't it?
It's football. If you put a football in front of his head, you wouldn't be able to see his head. At all.
What about him as a manager, Joe? What do you think about him as a manager?
I don't really have an opinion on him yet.
I mean,
obviously,
got a round head.
He's got a really round head, and I like that about him. I want him to stay in the job because I want to watch him on the telly. But apart from that, I don't really know.
You just want to screenshot him and get some like skinny arms coming and legs off him, don't you?
Oh my God, that's such a good idea, Hannah.
New profile.
Well, I live on my own, so next time what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the telly and I'll make some little arms and legs and get a photo of it and send it to
That'll
him.
be the
That's why you live
artwork
on
for
your
this episode.
Oh, there you go. But so Mike, so obviously, sorry, it's a bit of a digression. But you mentioned Antonio Conte. That's interesting because you've got a very clear plan. He plays that kind of back three with the wing backs, two up front. He's got a very clear tactical system, and he's a real ball breaker. Like he will not take any nonsense from
anyone. Did you
anyone.
just do that in an American accent then? He's a real
ball
ball breaker. And then just carried on.
Hey, the guy's a ball breaker. What was that? What was that, Mike?
It's a breaking balls.
That's Super Mario.
It's breaking balls.
Hey, it's a break of the balls.
Don't break my balls.
Yeah, better. But yeah, so he's not going to take any nonsense. And I mean, I looked at that back three on Saturday, and it was Kolasinac, Callum Chambers, and Rob Holding.
Yeah,
and
that's not great.
They're just going to get pumped here.
Yeah, but there was one. We decided to play one midfielder against the Premier League champions. Xhaka was on his own, and our new signing, who was like a number 10 and was played next to him, sort of, not really. It was just a bit maddening, to be honest. I don't really know what he was going for. I feel like maybe he bowed to fan pressure a little bit because fans were calling for us to match up Chelsea with their back three in the previous game, and he didn't do it. And so he decided to do it, but it was just completely wrong. It was just all wrong. They just battered us. When you start losing your duels as well in the box, it screams of something wrong, a lack of training. Like there's no way that Gundogan should be beating Callum Chambers in the air. It's just nuts.
Hannah, he means jewels like people going up, not like he's my emerald.
Where's my diamond?
Not like fencing.
Aubameyang, find the ruby or the curse will never be lifted.
On God.
That would be so good. That would be so good. But so do you think you played one midfielder? Do you think that's why Granit Xhaka left the pitch in protest?
I mean, that is just Xhaka all over, isn't it? Like, just like there was some people telling me it wasn't a red card because he got the ball. Like, I just don't think that matters. When you dive in off the ground, both feet off the ground, it's a red card regardless. And then some people were saying, oh, well, Paul Pogba should have been sent off then because he made contact with the player and his studs were up. But I don't know. That's interesting, actually. I wanted to get your take on that. Xhaka, obviously, that's obvious. But Pogba, was that a foul on Neves?
No, he's lucky that he moved his shin pad, because if he'd have been a few centimetres across his leg, he could have broken his leg. And I know he was saying in his interview after it's 50-50. When you watch it back, it wasn't 50-50. Like that could have been a disgusting tackle. There was intent there, and it was savage.
What is this? Is this Pogba or
Pogba?
Yeah. So you think it was the goal shouldn't have stood then?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm delighted with the end result.
Not saying that.
You're just saying it could have been a really horrible foul, but actually no.
Yeah, look, Ruben Neves is dead, but we won. So
I think
it was the reaction that did it. It was the delayed reaction that made the ref think that Neves was trying to fool him. I think if he would have went and watched it back and saw the contact, because we've seen like the stills, and I know that the stills often look worse than real time, but he does catch him with his boot up, like on the bottom of his leg. So like it is dangerous, I guess.
It is dangerous. I thought the Xhaka one was very clear because it just looks so reckless.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. Hannah, in cheerier news.
Yeah.
It's exciting to be a United fan at the moment, isn't it?
It's very exciting, isn't it? It's amazing. I couldn't believe when there was this speculation that Ronaldo was going to go to City. It's like he's never going to go to Manchester City. That would be a disgrace. Like United fans were in absolute uproar. It's like he's United, I'm going to say through and through. He's the part of the backbone. He knows the United way. And if he'd have come back and gone to City, yes, it would be great to watch him play football, as it always is, but I would have been really disappointed in him if he'd have done that. He was never going to do that anyway.
It was his agent, wasn't it, using it as leverage to get the best wages?
Of course, yeah. I mean, he's taking a pay cut, isn't he? But he's still on like the highest salary, I think, for United.
What? He's just on £50 million a year. His take home after tax is 25 million quid.
The thought of such unbelievable, I'm going to call it like an athlete coming to Manchester United. We've never had, and it's going back to what we said about egos earlier. We said this about Memphis Depay or Di Maria, where players come in and they're individuals, and Paul Pogba, they've got egos and they think that the teams run around them. But actually, Ronaldo coming to Manchester United now, I think that he's going to cement the team. People are going to see his work ethic. Like, the reason he's one of the best in the world is because of his work ethic. And for the likes of Rashford, Greenwood, to be able to see him training, his performances, Ronaldo's going to turn up, and if he doesn't want to play against Newcastle, he's going to be telling the manager. It's not the manager going to be telling him. And I think it's going to be exactly what United need.
I think it's interesting, that point about work ethic and like young players.
Yeah.
Because I did think that and obviously Mason Greenwood scored yesterday. And I kind of think with Greenwood and Rashford, there's no one better, obviously just in terms of technical quality. There's no one in terms of where do you run, how do you move as a forward. But there's no one better to learn from in terms of discipline. The reason he's made himself
as a brand,
one of the two greatest players of all time, is because he's had to work so hard at it, and he trains 5 times a day in the off season to keep himself at a certain level. He's relentless about his nutrition, his sleep, everything. And he's also not shy in saying what he thinks. So he will demand the highest quality at all times.
Yeah.
And you sort of think, again, it'd be that thing of Mason Greenwood in the hotel room with the Icelandic models, which again, I've got to say, who is not answering that phone call? I mean, like, if it had come out, he'd turn them down. Like, you're mental, mate. That's a news story. But like, Cristiano Ronaldo isn't going to stand for that kind of stuff, because he wants the highest standard for everybody else, because that makes him score more goals and makes him win more things, and that's all he cares about.
This isn't Ronaldo 2008 though. This is a very different player. He's 36 now. Over the last few years, he's really changed his game to become more of a poacher rather than the guy that's
been exceptional, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but he doesn't move. I think he's a bit of a lamppost in a way. I feel like United will have to change their entire game. It was really funny. There's a journalist, Miguel Delaney, who called him a siege weapon. Like, he's really effective, but you have to like wheel him in essentially and plonk him down, because he's just that sort of player now. Like, he's still a deadly finisher, but everything has to be around him. So I'm just thinking, like, how will United change their game? Because I think United, like, one of Ollie's sort of philosophies is pressing from the front, and let's be honest, like, Ronaldo's not really effective at that. So it'll be interesting to see how he sort of changes his game to fit Ronaldo in.
And also, people are saying it's like a bit of a risk that Ronaldo's taken to come back to Manchester United. As you say, like 12 years ago, he's come into left United as sort of tracking down the park, and people he tackled to get the ball, amazing finishes. Now he's very central in front of the goal, and obviously he's 36 years old, so he's not going to be making the same challenges and the same performances he did when he was at Manchester United. So people are kind of arguing, is it a good idea for him to come back? Because it could be the decline of him. It may not be his time. It's a bit of a risk to take. But equally, it's like, credit to him. He's adapted his own game, and he's still unbelievable. And again, as a United fan, I feel this is what we need. We need somebody in the centre in front of a goal. And I think the team will just mould around him.
In a very basic way, you're going to use him like Cavani. And from Solskjaer's point of view as a manager, looking at the bench and going, I've got 2 centre forward options here, really.
Yeah.
And it's Cavani and Ronaldo. I mean, that's just a pretty good situation to be in for a manager, I would say.
And what's going to happen?
Mike's point.
Sorry, Joe. I just interrupted.
I was going to say, take Mike's point about them not being maybe as fluid, but then again, that front three or that kind of fluid football, it is a young team. And apart from, Pogba, Maguire, Varane, there's not a lot of experience going forward. So to have those guys like Cavani and have those guys like Ronaldo, who, I mean, don't care. Any situation, the pressure's not going to get to them. And I think that's just so valuable to have in any team.
Yeah, I think I think like just watching United though, the last few weeks, I still think they've got a huge problem in midfield. I think against Southampton, they played Matic and Fred, and that was, they didn't create anything. And then they played Pogba in the next game, and he, as much as he's good on the ball, he just has obvious like defensive. He basically isn't a defending midfielder, so you're going to have huge gaps there. And next to Fred as well, who's a bit of a liability anyway, there was no balance there. And I feel like they do need midfield reinforcement. You bought Donny van der Beek and not played him. Don't know why. So I feel like you need someone in there. I still think that like someone like Declan Rice would have been perfect to partner a more defensive-minded midfielder, or even Pogba, because he could do like double the work that a Fred or Matic or McTominay would. So I think there's balance issues there, and I think that will stop them mounting a proper title challenge, even if they do have Ronaldo, because it doesn't look quite right.
And it goes back to what we said about Pogba. Week 1, he was brilliant. Week 2, average. This week, like who that's not the same player as week 1, and that's why I get really frustrated with Paul.
All right, Graham Souness.
I know. But, Ronaldo coming in, I think, Pogba's going to have to pipe down a little bit. And, kind of the arrogance, can I say, is going to be...
He's not the biggest star in the team anymore.
No, he's not. No. And I think that'll do him a lot of good. He's going to have to work a bit harder. And I think that's what people want to see. It's just, again, what I've gone back to is that consistency with Pogba. We don't see it. One week he'll be fantastic, and then the week after it'll be an average performance. And that's why I get really annoyed, because when he's on it, he's unbelievable. And that's what we want to see more and more of. But then when he's not on it, it's like, what I don't know what he's on the pitch for sometimes.
Should we draw some hasty conclusions from the first 3 weeks of the season?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how much does the Premier League table, Hannah, now resemble the Premier League table in May?
I don't think it. I think it's irrelevant at the minute, especially for Spurs. I mean, you're not going to be at the top of the table. I think, let's be honest, Joe. I think it's just, I know you're the only team to win 3 and 3, blah, blah, whatever. United are in third place, just saying. It's not great for us. But it's, you're not going to finish top of the table. Things are going to change a lot.
Well, why are we top now?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Why are we top? So... Okay. Oh, look, won 3 games and haven't conceded a goal. Oh, no, what a nightmare.
Yeah, but you only beat Watford 1-0.
Joe. You got to be beating Watford by more than a goal at home. Like, it's literally a championship team, isn't it? I didn't watch the game, but I heard that Spurs struggled a little bit and should have been. Well, struggled to create chances.
Nuno don't want Nuno more goals. That's all he says. He says we get one goal, we don't want Nuno more. No, I didn't.
No.
Nuno don't want no goals.
They wouldn't want you there if you do all this crap anyway.
They would, man. I'm the life and soul.
Okay, well, we'll ask you the question then, Joe. The same question you just asked me about the table.
Yes.
Yes, Spurs are at the top. Yes. What do you think for Spurs for the end of the season then? Given the first 3 performances.
I think this is it. I don't think this is it. It's a really good start. It's like the thing that's impressed me most, and my mate pointed this out the other day. How has he got 3 clean sheets out of Sanchez and Dyer? That is wizardry of some kind, because they were appallingly bad last season. So I mean, Nuno immediately defensively has made us a bit more robust, which obviously you rely on Mourinho to do, but he didn't manage it. But also we're pressing a lot more, which is just that's what you want to see. Mourinho's team sat back and waited to be attacked. Yeah. And that was fine 15 years ago when you got Carvalho and Terry at centre-back, but not so much when it's Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dyer. Nuno's team press high up the pitch. That's good to watch. We look good on the counter. I mean, going back to Mike's point, we're not being particularly lethal at the moment. I mean, Son, obviously, I know he got his goal yesterday, but he's not been at his best. Kane's obviously not sharp yet. I don't think that's maybe to do with the transfers. I think that's potentially to do with a lack of fitness, having come back late from his holiday and not done a proper pre-season and all that stuff. Bergwijn's not really the man to play up front there, and Moore is a good player in patches and runs his little socks off every time, but he's just not quite at the level we want. I would, before the end of the transfer window, I think we need another forward to go alongside Son and Kane.
Especially
I was
when
very
Kane
excited.
leaves.
Well, when Kane goes at
window.
Christmas, absolutely.
Do you think that's acceptable for a player of such as Harry Kane to not be fit at the start of a season?
Do
you think that's
weird,
okay?
And I know like I'm old and broken and I've seen it all with Sheringham and Campbell and Modric and Bale, and I've seen Berbatov, Keane, Jesus, the list goes on, Carrick. But like I sort of don't really care about Harry Kane anymore. It's like, it's nice that he's still there and great, and he's a world-class centre forward, and I'm sure he'll score some goals. But I sort of think it's a bit like when you get back with an ex and you've kind of romanticized it in your mind, and then you get back and you're like, it's not the same. Like, I know what you did. And it's kind of like, that's not happened to me, by the way. But like, it's sort of like, I don't know, it feels like the magic has sort of been broken a little bit, and he's one of our own. And it's like,
yeah. It's a little bit of a lose-lose situation, though, isn't it? Because Harry Kane obviously didn't get the move that he wanted. Spurs won't recoup anywhere near the sort of transfer fee that they would have got this summer. Well, obviously Daniel Levy is happy because he didn't want to get rid of him. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The sort of magic is gone, because this guy who was like, you know, his boyhood club, and is like your one of your greatest ever player, you say, and he sort of wanted to leave but didn't quite manage to push through the transfer. It's a bit like, I just think you should have just let him go, let him have his wish, because Spurs are probably not going to win any titles this season. They might win the Europa Conference League, but I don't think that'll make him too happy. So it's just like
the big one,
a bit meh, isn't it? Like, it's just a bit like, you should just let him go, let him get his dream move, let him win some titles while his ankles are still in one piece.
Because everyone had kind of accepted it that he was going at one point, didn't they? And then it wasn't really handled that well. So that's maybe why people are kind of gone a bit, you kind of didn't give people what they wanted.
I was getting quite excited because I was like, Kane's going to go, and then we might buy Traore and Martinez. And I was ready for him to go, and started, like, the kid in me started thinking about who we were going to bring in. And now he feels like a bit of a placeholder. Because it's like, if I was sitting as I used to and sketching out Spurs formations, which is what I used to do as a kid, and try and work out what I thought our best tactical formation was, which wasn't easy when it was Anthony Gardner and Ramon Vega playing centre-back. There wasn't really much you could do. But I would look at that and be like, Kane is very much a TBC. He's there for now. But the thing is, he's still going to cost 150 million quid in January, because he's still got years to run on his deal. And his absolute donut of a brother didn't put a release clause in, because this is the thing about footballers, like, I'm going to let my brother be my advisor. Why?
Yeah.
Mad.
There's millions of pounds involved. And have you seen him? He looks like a right pleb. So, I'm really going in on the Kane family.
Poor Charlie.
Sorry, Charlie. He came on my Love Sports show and he was really nice.
Oh my God, you've actually met him.
Met him and he's really nice. I'm just
You're
slagging him off.
such a nasty man.
Really just judging people on how they look. Patrick Vieira, one of the greatest midfielders to ever play the game, said he's got a perfectly round head like a pea. This bloke who's perfectly lovely. Oh, God. But, right, I just think it's so stupid, like footballers, like jobs for the boys kind of thing. And I remember having Jamie O'Hara on a radio show, and he said he did that. He gave all his mates jobs. But he gave all his mates jobs. And then he's like, and then obviously, had money problems and stuff. And I was just hemorrhaging money. It's like, well, yeah, because you're giving money to loads of people who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just, Harry Kane is reaping what he sowed, basically. He signed a 6-year deal with no release clause. And that's it, mate. Like, at the end of the day, I want him to go. Don't get me wrong. I want that money. And like Mike says, before his ankles go for good, I want that money. But look, should we draw some hasty conclusions? I still haven't changed my mind. I think Chelsea are going to win the league.
You didn't say that, Joe.
This is so unfair.
I mean, it's not like it's been recorded and put out to the world anywhere, but you didn't say it.
Literally, right? I'm just shouting into the abyss, aren't I? No one really listens. I can tell by Hannah's face when I'm talking.
Sorry, did you say something, Joe?
See, She's just looking out the window, thinking, "Oh, it's not raining anymore. I might go out and
I might have a glass of Savvy in a minute."
But I think Chelsea as well. I think getting James sent off, which I thought was a really harsh red card, but him getting sent off at the weekend and them defending so well, that made me think they're going to win the league even more. And then at the end, like Lukaku, like head to head with people, Lukaku and Rudiger going mad, celebrating that like it was 3 points. Thought they've got everything, like from the team, from the squad, from the tactics, and also just that mentality.
Yeah.
They just look like they want it so bad. I think Liverpool are going to be better than I thought they would. They look like such a better team with Van Dijk in it.
Did they surprise you at the weekend, Liverpool?
Yes. Yeah, because I thought they were spent force, and actually,
Yeah.
you just needed Van Dijk to come back, really.
They should have won that game, though, I think.
Yeah.
I think as soon as Chelsea went down to 10 at half time, they should have already caused them more problems. But I still think Liverpool are one attacker away, because I just think teams have worked out their front three. I think they know how they play now. They've been bossing it for like 3 seasons with Mane, Firmino and Salah. I feel like they do need to mix it up a little bit. Jota is much more dangerous. But yeah, I think Liverpool still got something missing. I think Van Dijk coming back was great because he pocketed Lukaku, really, didn't he? But I feel like they're a little bit short. I still think Chelsea are the ones.
Yeah, they look. I look at that and like having seen City when they played Spurs, I don't see how that City team beat Chelsea. I just don't like. I just don't think they've got enough. Like having seen that already, and also a couple of weeks in as well, I now do think that Newcastle will go down because they just really don't look up to much at all.
Yeah, but we
absolutely. Yeah, it's just a mess though, isn't it? Newcastle. Like, how long have they been trying to like want to get rid of Mike Ashley, and it's just not happened. And they have spent money as well. Like they spent quite a lot on Joe Linton and Almiron, and 25 million to take Joe Willock, who had like a good 3-month spell on loan and never played for us. What are they doing? Like it's pretty poor. I think it's like they're like Arsenal, like 5 years down the line, and we could easily be in that situation if things don't improve. Or honestly, I think that's reality.
Which would be shocking.
Sleeping giants.
Steve Bruce at the Emirates. Oh, mate, that's my dream. What a dream.
Can you imagine?
Right, I think it's important to wrap up today's show with a themed Eric Dyer's vegetable patch. So, Hannah, you're going to like this.
Okay.
Your new signing, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, what do you think his hobby might be, apart from killing people?
His hobby?
I know I keep saying that I think he's a serial killer. I'm going to cut that out, sorry.
His hobby, well, he's married to football, so I can't see that he would be interested in anything else as a hobby other than training, nutrition, sleep, kind of meditating and playing football. And his family.
What do you reckon he's got in his house? I'm trying to think. If you walked in? I think it'd be like Christian Bale's apartment in American Psycho, like very pristine,
super clean. Yeah,
super clean,
super
like white.
clean.
But he's got 4 kids, hasn't he? So I think it'd be pretty pristine. He'll have like loads of people working for him and stuff, won't he? With like butlers and chefs, and it'd be tidy.
He's probably got quite a nice gaff. I'm not going to lie. He's probably got a pretty nice. He should buy a place in Salford. He could buy a whole estate. Just Ronaldo Tower. But right, his vice, well, it's not a vice, is bingo.
Stop.
He loves a game of bingo, right?
With a dab pen.
So exactly. He apparently started playing to improve his English after somebody gave him a bingo DVD for Christmas. Now, I don't want to question my own research, but is a bingo DVD just a recorded game of bingo?
Like on Scarborough Seafront. 2 fat ladies. That's not teaching somebody proper English, is it?
But also you're just watching a game that's already ended. You can't win and you can't participate.
I mean, bingo is boring as it is. Why on earth would anyone record it?
And also, if you're Cristiano Ronaldo, so you're a millionaire, if you get a bingo DVD for Christmas, I mean, I would be... That's a joke gift, isn't it? That you give someone, surely.
That's a really shit Secret Santa, isn't it? That's what it is.
Don't you and your husband give each other naked sculptures of each other?
Huh? God, no.
You've got those little naked figures.
Oh, right.
You showed me.
Oh, right. Yeah, so he got me these little sculpture, tiny little things where this woman had really big perky boobs, and he gave it to me, and I was like, "Who's that?" And he was like, "It's our family." I was like, "Well, who's that woman with perky boobs?" And he was like, "Oh, sorry, I should have maybe said to them not to have like boobs and like nipples that high up." And I was like, "That's really mean."
Andy.
Awful. And I'll bring them and
Andy.
get them some a figurine with spaniel's ears at the front. Then, shocking. But yeah, he did buy that for me, and they're actually sat by the front door. But it's a bit creepy. But I'd be peed off if he got me.
What's he got for himself? Has he got like a horse?
With a bloke with a massive,
Yeah. Well, it's like if he's trying to think like of idyllic figurines.
Yeah, his is a very flat in that lower region. On the figurine.
Realistic.
Oh god.
Right. I think Hannah insulting her husband of 10 years is a good place to leave it. Right, if you want to get involved, loads of football chat today. So most football-y one we've done.
Yeah, we've actually been like a bit more serious, haven't we? And had football discussions without breaking off into immaturity every 5 minutes.
Well, you did still say Spaniel's ears, and I did sing the theme tune to Poddington Peas. So there's still moments.
Oh, we did laugh at Mike when he was being serious and getting upset about Arsenal. So
yeah, we did. I'm sorry about that. It was a beautiful moment. I'm going to send the video to you, Mike, so you can watch it back. But if you want to get involved, loads of chat to get involved in. Rosehead Soccer on Twitter, or it's Rosehead Pod on Instagram. We're going to do a best bits next week. It's international break, and no one really cares about international break. And also, me and Hannah are having international breaks because we'll be away. Mikey, where are you going to be? You're going to be in Dorset or something, aren't you?
Cotswolds, innit?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, have a good time now. All right, well, Mike, thank you very much.
Bye.
Hannah, thank you very much.
Thank you. As
right,
always.
see you next time.
Bye.